Boss Rush 980 day 4. So this is a very difficult day. We got Sayge as the first boss, and then Ahune as one of the follow-up bosses, which is a lot of restrictions on your comp. Ahune requires specifically Medivh Malchezaar Rogers, so you only have 3 slots to deal with Sayge. Typically we use 4 slots to deal with Sayge, so it introduces a lot of ability RNG and on both the targeting and what ability they use, and also RNG on your anomalies. So you really want a super low or no shadow anomaly ideally. And also depends on what abilities they use. So this Deathwing comp is the more reliable one. I was able to beat it once with the Varden comp, but I also tried it like 20 other times and was not able to win on any of those attempts. So the Varden comp is less reliable, but the Deathwing one is still not super consistent either. So there's just really no great solution for today. The Deathwing comp is going to be Arena Contender, Rattling Bones, Unstable Runes, Resolve when Dying, 3 moves ahead, and Scout Spyglass. And these equipment on these mercenaries is very specific for the Ahune encounter. You can't change those. The Scout Spyglass also needs to do 40 damage, so I think that's rank 23, which costs about, I think, 1,000 renown to get there from base rank 4. It's, I think, a bit, it's like 1025 or something like that, or 1050. And then for the Varden comp, we've got Belinda with Water Elemental, Arena Contender, Unstable Runes, Band of Frost, 3 moves ahead, and Scout Spyglass. And in this comp, this is the order that I used for the fight when I won, because I was having trouble getting Belinda and Varden to survive on turn 1, but in theory, if you get lucky enough with the enemy ability usage and your anomaly rolls, you should be able to start with Belinda 1 and Varden in play. But I just kept having someone die every time because the Reds would always target my Belinda because their anomaly was too high. And then if you got low enough Arcane and Holy anomalies, I think they would target Bwonsamdi instead of Belinda if they're not able to one-shot your Belinda. But I'm not certain about that because I just never had those rolls happen, and you still need like low or no shadow anomaly. So both of these comps can work, but they're not consistent. So let's hop into it with the Deathwing one. I don't know if I'll actually be able to get a recording of a win with the Varden comp. It's just really inconsistent. So I'll do what I can, but I don't want to spend like 8 hours trying to record a win. So with this comp, we did get no shadow anomaly here, which is very fortunate. I think the odds someone was saying on Discord are like 1 in 15, but I don't know if that's accurate or not. So he's Sayge is using a different attack anyway, but a lot of times we'll get Determinate Doom, which is a shadow AoE on turn 1, so that's what the shadow anomaly will usually kill you with. So we're going to do a bounce here, and we're going to buff Bwonsamdi since we don't need it to keep our Medivh alive. Sometimes we want to use it on Medivh if you need that to keep him alive, if you've got like a low shadow anomaly and the shadow AoE here. By buffing Bwonsamdi, you have a few more options next turn for manipulating health to try to keep your Deathwing from getting hit by a lethal attack from Sayge. Okay, so we use Deathwing, Rattlegore, and Bwon. And then on this turn, this is very fortunate because I have no shadow anomaly and he's using the shadow attack. And then we just need to make sure this Holy Blast doesn't kill our Deathwing. So we're just going to use a Deal of Vanity here and a Destroy a Life, and that should do it. Sometimes if there's like a focus or miss here, you can use this Bone Flame to shoot one of your mercenaries to manipulate the targeting. But in this case, I don't need to do that, so just the Vanity should be good enough. Okay, so I'm just going to restart to skip these animations. And now we have to hit specifically Artillery Strike, and we're going to have 4 mercenaries alive. So your treasure odds are not very good here. Since Rattlegore comes back to life, and then you've got the other 3 that you need for Ahune. This is always a problem with Ahune days, since you basically always have to run Medivh, Malchezaar, and Rogers for Ahune. And then needing Deathwing Rattlegore to make the first fight more consistent means you're always going to have that Rattlegore on top of it. Okay, that's a miss. Doesn't really matter what you take on Rattlegore, you're not going to use him anyway. And we didn't hit our artillery strike, so let's try it again. Since I was able to show a win on Sayge there, I'm going to try it with the Varden comp next. But I don't want to do too many attempts with this one because it's so much less consistent. So if I don't get it on like the first try, I'm just going to go back to the Deathwing comp and see if we can show the Ahune fight. Because both comps fight Ahune the same way. So if I can't get a recording of a win with this comp, then... Okay, so we do have high anomalies here. I'm just going to reroll this. You would need, I think, at least a low shadow anomaly roll, but ideally no shadow anomaly. But it can take quite a few rerolls to get that to happen. Those are probably too high. We don't really care what the arcane and holy anomalies are too much, because it's a lot easier to freeze the reds since they have taunt. So we basically just care, I mean, we care a little bit about how much arcane there is, because focus or miss could still be survivable if it's low enough. That's low-ish, but it would be difficult. We can try it. I don't have high hopes for a run like this. We did get a fairly low arcane roll. And we do have no health on the reds, so maybe it's good. So typically I would shoot with Belinda on Sayge, but since I got a health anomaly on Sayge, I don't think I'm going to be able to kill Sayge before these reds. So I'm actually just going to shoot at reds. And I'm going to freeze the more damaging attack here. We're going to do a bounce, and that would currently not kill my Belinda. I'm just going to buff health on Belinda and hope that this works out. Because we're probably not going to use Medivh again for the rest of the fight, so I'm just going to put the health on the mercenary that's most likely to get killed. Hopefully this targets one Somdi. Okay. Good outcome there. We also have no attack anomaly here, which is allowing my water elementals to survive. It's really good. Get some extra ramp with Varden that way. So we're most likely using this Frost team for the rest of the fight. But you do have the option to bring out Medivh for more Mage Guards, or Malchezaar to even try to do an All Realities, or Rogers to speed up a Cold Snap. It's just not super likely for those to be really good. Okay, so this is why re-rolling if you don't have no Shadow Anomaly is good, because these Determinate Dooms, when you don't have your Ice Lance yet, you're just going to have to eat that damage, so... You just have to eat that. I could not act at all, or only act at 9 speed, and have this Holy Blast go off, this get countered, but I don't think I want to do that. So I'm just going to swing this and this. Get some ramp, and then I'm going to shoot at this guy with this flame dart since we're not ramped on Frost yet. And then I guess I'll just do Cold Snap for damage. I'm gonna do a flurry and hope that it like machine guns down one of these ads. all hits the same target. Okay, so because we had to take that AoE, we now don't have any hit points to cast abilities that have been predicted. Now, I could use Medivh to put health with the Mage Guard on Varden so that I could potentially survive a prediction, but I think I would lose too much damage and not make it through the fight. So I'm just going to risk it here. And hopefully we can Ice Lance Sayge here. It got predicted. So I'm going to swing with this. And then cast a Flurry. Just gonna do like 1200 damage if it all hit the same target. So I'm just gonna shoot at this one, and maybe we get to a Cold Snap next turn, and hopefully don't die here. If Belinda were to die, you could still make it through. So here I could have brought out Medivh instead of Bonsomdi, which may have been the better play. Which would also give the option to just pass the turn if you had to. Let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so he's trying to AoE me, so I have to freeze that. I have both of these freezes available. So if I... So I'll do another 110 with these two. So 325, so 650 crit. So if I go like this, it's 874. This should be enough damage to Cold Snap. And I guess we just... I think I want to shoot at this red. Because if we get this dead, then we can get a counter rune out and kill Sayge that way. Potentially. This is definitely not like a scripted fight. You have to kind of play it by ear. And just use whatever abilities work out. So we should have 2 freezes here. Okay, we did not get predicted on Ice Lands. That's very good. So I can freeze here, freeze there, and bounce. And then we can just do this. And now I can get a counter rune out and probably kill this off. I wouldn't try to go for an all realities here. I think it's too risky. So we do want to kill off Belinda, Varden, and Bonsomdi here. We can do that later. So I'm going to start with these. So we're going to counter here. I guess I might as well make a Raven. Even though they're not very useful, because they tend to... They just get their nuke predicted, and then anytime they shoot, they just die the first time they shoot. So I could use this, but it would kill me. But that wouldn't be all bad, because we want Belinda to die anyway. I do want this to die this turn. It could lead me to a very slow and painful kill on Sayge, though, if I do make one of those plays. And this can also triple shoot Sayge. Not be good. Okay, so I think if I shoot here and then swing with this, this will survive, so I still have it for Sayge if I want it. And then that should work out pretty well. And this will make sure we only have one target next turn when they unfreeze. So that we have the option to pass whenever we want to. Okay, we need to kill off one somebody, so I'm going to bring him out. Alright, so I can just pass whenever I want to. We can also Ice Lance to do our turns so that Sayge never gets to act. So I'm just going to pass this turn. I could have also shot with one zombie that turn. Well, never mind. Sayge was slowed, so that wouldn't work. Okay, so we don't have a prediction here, so we can Ice Lance. And you can see this got predicted, so that bird would just die if it shoots. This does not die when you count self-counter, because the action doesn't actually happen. I'm going to do this. I might as well just take this bird damage here. I think it like always predicts this Birds of a Feather Blow. I don't think it ever predicts the attack, at least that I've seen. Okay, so we can act slower than Sayge with this. I could use the Water Elemental now to act with these other mercenaries, but I think I'm just going to do this. That Focus or Miss ability, it doesn't seem to do what it actually says on the tooltip. There have been many instances where I very carefully read the ability and saw who it was going to base its prediction on, and it still did the opposite of what I thought it was going to. So I tend to just not let that thing cast if I can help it. Just act with one zombie here again. Okay, so I can freeze this. I guess a bird summon is still the best here. So pretty slow, but at most like 6 or 7 more attacks. At least one, somebody's not getting repeatedly predicted on Soul Subjugation. This is getting predicted again. If this ever predicts the bird's attack, that would be a good opportunity to use the Water Elemental if we don't have an Ice Lance available. Still predicting that. No Ice Lance still. So we'll just keep shooting with one zombie, I guess. When we are ready to kill our mercenaries, just using the predicted ability is a pretty good way to do it. So we do have Ice Lance available this turn. And yeah, it still just predicts the Birds of a Feather like every time. So we'll freeze there. I could Cold Snap. It's kind of interesting. Could Cold Snap to kill Varden. I don't think it really works out though, so I'm just gonna keep going with This will kill Bwansamdi if I use it. Or I can use Binding Contract instead. We're ready for Bwansamdi to die. I'm just gonna wait on it still. I'm just saving the Water Elemental for like the final killing blow. When we don't have Varden's Ice Lance available anymore. Okay, so I can kill Varden off here. Because Sayge is getting pretty low. If I put Malchezaar in play, it's going to slow Sayge, which is kind of annoying because it would be the same speed as Bwansamdi then. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and kill off Bwansamdi here. Right now we just have our Ahune team left. And that should do it there. None of this matters with Rogers. Sure, this is not predicted. I want to mess up and lose our Malchezaar right at the end. Alright, so we just need an artillery strike. So that is how the Frost team can win. None of this really matters. And we got the artillery strike. Nice. And show the Ahune fight here. So you do need the artillery strike to clear these ice shards. I guess in theory, if you didn't kill off any of your mercenaries in that comp, you could potentially kill these ice shards with like the Frost comp if you hit the right treasures. But yeah, it wouldn't be easy. Okay, so all you need to do here is use your Mage Guard to buff your Rogers and your Arcane Ward high enough that it does not die to this Ice Storm. Now the tooltip on this Ice Storm is bugged, and it doesn't show you the full damage with the Frost Anomaly, even though this is a Frost attack. So you have to add your Frost Anomaly to this 10. So we've got 297 damage from the Ice Storm. So that means we need 297 damage or hit points on our Arcane Ward as well as our Rogers. So we're already there with our Rogers. We just need it on our Arcane Ward. And as long as this is casting Ice Storm, this Mage Guard will happen after that gets countered, so you're safe to cast that. So we're just going to repeatedly cast that until we get to 297. You do need to check Ahune's ability every turn, because sometimes he can just cast a random different ability. It's not very likely, it's usually just Ice Storm spam, but you do need to check. So we're just getting up to 297 here. And you're also waiting on this cooldown for all realities. Alright, so we're above 297 on both of these. You actually need enough hit points on Rogers that you can also survive the melee swing into the Ice Shard afterwards, which I think they only have 10 attack. I don't remember offhand, but so you need like an extra 10 there or so, or however much attack they have. But we should already be good to go here. I'll go ahead and do one extra buff on Rogers just to be like extra safe. If you wanted to buff your Medivh and your Malchezaar so that they could survive it too, just remember they get crit by Ahune, so you would need twice as much as however much that deals. So you need like 600 HP on them in this case. And when you're ready to do the combo, you must have an Ice Storm cast from Ahune as well. So we do have an Ice Storm here, we have enough hit points. I'm just going to let Medivh and Malchezaar die, you don't have to keep them alive. So when you're ready to do the combo, you just counter yourself, cast all realities, and then since we're using the third equipment on Rogers, that means that this is a speed up, so we're going to speed up our Malchezaar rather than using Ship Spell and slowing down Ahune. So cast your Tactician on Malchezaar. And then we should have our Arcane Ward and our Rogers survive here since we buffed their health up. And then here you want to check and see what Ahune's doing. The reason we have to keep the Arcane Ward alive is that Ice Storm ability can be cast again on this turn. So that's why you need the counter ward to survive. But since Ahune is not using this Ice Storm, we just want to self-counter. If there is an Ice Storm, do not self-counter. And then we just want to swing here. And so I guess it's 6 attack. So you need the Frost Anomaly plus 10 for the Ice Storm plus 6, I guess. And then when we swing here, since our third equipment deals more than 40 damage, everything dies, and that kills Ahune. And since Rogers is our artillery strike, we didn't need those other mercenaries alive. Just keep your artillery strike, and that's a win. So the Ahune fight is exactly the same with the Deathwing comp. You're just going to have an extra Rattlegore sitting on the bench. So very difficult day overall. I would recommend that most people just skip this one. You do need a lot of stars to align to get it to work out in your favor. And it still takes a while, even when they do align. So that'll do it for 980 day 4. Options there. I think our best farm days are still 2 and 3. So whichever one you prefer. They're kind of about the same if you have the Deathwing Rattlegore leveled up. And good luck on your runs.